Hey guys, and welcome to this week's updates to Old School RuneScape. So starting off, we have in-game polls, and you'll be able to vote on the poll booths in-game at any of the banks around RuneScape, which is really nice. So just look for the minimap icon. You can see right here, it's a little like piece of paper with a check on it, and that's where you'll be able to vote with these poll booths. And you'll also be able to see previous results, which is really nice, and probably the results for the current poll also, I'm assuming. And yeah, I guess they have the polls going all the way back to 2013, which is kind of interesting. You can look at really old results pretty easily. And also they will have the final poll about Artisan today, and you'll be able to vote out in-game, which is pretty cool. And I guess we'll see what the results of that are. It'll be kind of interesting. And the next thing is pet insurance. So if you die with your pet, you have to, well, before you die with your pet, you have to go and talk to Probita in Ardoin, and you can insure your pet for some kind of fee. They don't say how much it is, but I'm assuming it's probably a decent amount. And then once it's insured, if you die with it, then you can go back to her and pick it up, which is really nice. So that way, if you have an accident with one of your favorite pets, then it isn't the end, because that would be pretty sad if it was. And the next thing is the no movement duel arena. So one of the duel arenas is designated for only no movement duels, so that way you don't have to have people ragging your fight if you're famous or whatever ends up happening. It just can get annoying, I'm sure, have people running all over the place. So that way it just makes it a lot easier, and it makes it more fair for people, so that they don't have people trying to mess up their fight and stuff like that, which is really nice. And they changed minigame teleport so that you don't have to be in the chat to use the teleport, which is really nice, because that way you can actually use the teleports all the time rather than having to spam the chat like 10 million times to try to get into it. And also, there won't be a whole bunch of people that just join the chat and then forget to leave it when they don't actually want to play the minigame, so that it messes it up, and half the people in the chat don't actually even want to play the minigame. So that's really nice. And in the patch notes, other news type stuff, Superheat and Enchant Jewelry spells will now queue rather than just not work if you cast it too quickly, which is nice. They did that to the High Alchemy spell a while ago, and it made it a lot nicer. So that way you can be a little bit more relaxed with your superheating. And Enchant Jewelry, Ivan Staff can now autocast the Ivan Blast spell, which makes it a bit easier to use that, which is kind of nice. Gloves purchased from the Cullen Romancer's chest will now convert to coins equal to their alchemy value when lost on death. So now if you're PKing and you kill somebody with Barrow's gloves, they'll drop around 78k, I think it is, something like that. Run energy now restores 30% faster when wearing the complete Graceful outfit, which I don't like at all. I think that's annoying and overpowered, and Graceful is already good enough with the reduction in weight, but whatever. The world map has been updated to display poll booth locations and the Pet Insurance Bureau. Tutorial Island has been updated to provide information about in-game polls. They removed an incorrect payment entry from the farming skill guide. I wonder what that was. Confusion Beast will now reliably appear during a Soul's Bane, and reduce the wander range of high-level rogues to prevent trapping. So I guess that must make it more difficult to do the rogues chests. I'm not sure. That's kind of interesting though. But yeah, that's the updates that came to Old School today. And later on today, they will have the final poll about Artisan, which you can vote on in-game, which will be kind of nice and interesting to try out the poll booths right away. That would be kind of fun. But yeah, it's pretty good updates, and some things that I'm not so happy about, but overall it's some pretty good stuff. Okay, so the poll is actually already out, so I'm just going to go ahead and vote on it. I'm actually at Castle Wars right now, and there's a poll booth here, and it's pretty cool. So there's three things here. There's vote, refresh, and history. So you see the results of the current poll right here, and I'm going to click vote. There we go. That was kind of weird. So I'm just going to go through here, and they even post links so that this will open in Chrome, I'm assuming. That's kind of cool. Would you like us to add the Artisan skill as described in the Artisan skill developer blog? And straight off, I'm saying no. I just really don't want Artisan, and I don't really like a lot of the rewards it brings into the game, and I just don't really like it as a skill. If you don't want Artisan skill as a whole, should we introduce a level 20 tree called the Ash Tree? Now, this stuff I actually kind of like, and I think it would be cool to have new resources and stuff like that, so I'm going to say yes to this actually. I don't think Ash Trees will end up being that useful, but other trees may end up being, like level 50 tree could be good for power chopping. I'm not exactly sure, so I'm going to vote yes for things like this. And the Redwood tree, it just depends on what they're used for though, so I guess we'll see later on in this poll. Maybe I'll change my answers. If you don't want the Artisan skill as a whole, should we introduce a level 60 quartz ore? I'm going to say yes to this one too. If you don't want the artisan skill as a whole, should we introduce a level 80 hunter creature called the Great Kayet? I guess, I mean, I'm curious what these will bring, because these are all items that you can collect, like collect items from and then use them to produce something, so I'm not sure what these will produce. Called the Wolverine, that's another hunter creature at 85. I'm going to say yes. If you don't want the artisan skill as a whole, should we add fish fillets as described in the developer blog? No, those are stupid, I think, because what you do is you add an herb to a fish, and you have a chance of getting the effect of 1 dose of the potion that the herb would make. So it's like, use a renard on a shark, and it has a chance to restore prayer for the 1 bite. Whereas if you used a renard in a potion, you'd have 3 doses of 100% chance of restoring prayer. So it's like, what's the point of that? It would just be super expensive and unnecessary, and just stupid, in my opinion. Should we add carvings as described in the developer blog to the crafting skill? These are things I'm going to say no to, because what they do is they double your ore production for the next 28 rocks that you mine, and they don't say whether it gives extra XP or not, but if that gives XP for both of them, then it's kind of just ridiculous, so totally change mining. So I think I'm going to say no to that one. If you don't want the artisan skill as a whole, should we add artisan tools? I think they should add artisan tools, actually, because, I mean, they're not really a game-changing item at all. It's just kind of nice for level 3, or just skillers in general that don't level their attack, to be able to wield tools, and they probably be kind of cool looking also, so I'm going to say yes to that. It'll be interesting to see whether they have the spec of the dragon weapons, though, or the dragon tools, because if so, then I probably would actually end up getting them, just because they would probably be kind of cool looking, but if not, then obviously they would be annoying. If you don't want the artisan skill as a whole, should we add totems as described in the developer blog to the fire making and crafting skill? Let me check those out. I'm starting to forget what all this different stuff is. So these are ones that you can burn, and they will give you certain effects, like doubling, the chance of doubling fish and stuff like that. I'm going to say no, because it just sounds complicated, and I don't know. I don't really like the idea that much, so I'm going to say no to it. Should we add two-handed crossbows as described in the developer blog to the fletching skill? Two-handed crossbows, I'm going to say yes to. I think they could be interesting, and they said that they're not going to be better than the armored crossbow, but they could be interesting to use in some situations. I don't really know what their stats are going to be like, but I think it would be interesting to see. And range could use some new items, I would say. If you don't want the artisan skill as a whole, should we add slow burners? I'm going to say no. Slow burners are kind of pointless. They last longer, which you don't really want when you're fire making, and they give a tiny bit more XP. But yeah, I don't think those would be necessary. Should we add combining runes? I'm going to say no to this one, because I don't know what effect that would have on rune crafting, and I don't really want rune crafting to be devalued, and I don't think the combination runes would be really crucial to the game anyways. Should we add construction shortcuts? This is actually a tough question, because they don't tell us where the construction shortcuts are going to be. So this could, like, imagine if they had one that ended up making a rune crafting run faster or something like that, or just could end up having a really big effect on certain skills without even us really realizing it. But I don't know, it's hard to say. So I think I'm going to say yes to this one for now, and hope that Jagex doesn't choose anything that's too overpowered, but I kind of wish that they would tell us where the shortcuts are going to be. If you don't want the artisan skill as a whole, should we add quartz figurines? I have to check that one back again. And the final one is, should we add the clothing and farming additions? This is where I'm definitely going to say no, because this includes the esoteric gear, and esoteric is really overpowered. It changes rune crafting way too much, and I don't like it. Okay, so quartz figurines are the items that you put in your player-owned house, and they will give you a chance of saving resources when building items in your house, and it doesn't say whether they last forever or not, but I'm gonna say no to that, because I don't really think there's a need for that. And I think I've answered all the questions. So yeah, let's go ahead and submit the vote. There we go, there's a vote button at the bottom. Thank you for voting. So now we'll check out the results and see what they are. So Artisan is not passing. It has a 53.7% majority, but that's definitely not 75%. And it looks like most of this stuff is not passing, actually. Let's see if anything is. Let's see. Alright, not a single thing in here is passing the 75% majority. The highest one is, should we add a level 85 tree called the Redwood Trees at 71.7%. So at this current moment, nothing is passing in here. So unfortunately, we will not be seeing any of this stuff. But But I'm not really too bothered by that. I mean, a lot of this would change the game fairly significantly, so it's fine with me, really. But I encourage you guys to head over to any of the poll booths in-game, or you can still vote on the website if you'd like to. Submit your votes and put in your vote for what you want to happen to the game. So that's going to be all for this video. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys later for the next video.